car.
Yeah, and here's, you always hear about, like the movie Medicine Man, like the cure for cancer maybe in this one leaf in the middle of a forest somewhere in a jungle. They may not have the key to cancer in a sloth, but the Smithsonian Tropical Research Institute did collect fungi samples, the algae that grows in their fur, and this is of the three-toed sloth, and they found that some of these samples from the sloth coat help fight against malaria, or the parasite that causes malaria, and Chagas disease, which I know we've talked about. It's another tropical parasitic disease.
Should stop your heart.
MRSA, cholera, salmonella, and they were also active against human breast cancer cells, so pretty amazing.
Yeah, which, I mean, like, that's the stuff that they found in the algae growing on sloth fur, which, that is
correct.
Astounding. It's awesome. So we're all going to be chewing on sloths in the future.
Well, don't say that.
They'll be alive. You don't have to kill them or anything. You just gently suck on their fur.
Okay.
Okay. You got anything else?
I got nothing.
Well, if you want to know more about sloths, there's a whole internet out there about them, although we did a pretty good job covering it, Chuck, if I do say so ourselves.
I think so.
Well, since I said internet, that means it's time for listener mail.
I'm going to call this Politics on Your Show. Hey guys, love the show. Been listening for several years now, and I've learned lots of good stuff, and you've also introduced me to The End of the World with Josh Clark and Movie Crush.
Yeah.
How about that?
All right.
Will goes deep. And he says this: recently I was looking through reviews and comments on the show on Apple Podcasts. Saw a number of people making critical comments about how you share your opinions on religion and politics too often. I am a politically conservative and religious guy, and I want to encourage you to keep sharing your opinions. I live in a smallish Midwestern town in a red state where I grew up and spent most of my life. Most of the people in my orbit either go to church with me and my family or hold similar conservative views. Your opinions serve as an important function of bringing some alternative perspectives that sometimes challenge my opinions and encourage me to reevaluate certain positions and views. Please keep interjecting your views, guys. Too many of us automatically dismiss any opinions, and unfortunately people whose views contrast with their own. I used to work for an administrator. He would frequently say, if we're all thinking the same thing, then some of us aren't thinking. It sounds like something
that's a great
motivational poster.
That's the first album's title for Mouth Farts debut.
Keep up the great work and keep offering your views along with your well-researched and fascinating topics, well-seasoned with witty humor and hilarious banter. Regards, Will.
Well, that was a great, very nice, very kind email. Like, Will saw something, said, these guys probably know about this, and I want to make sure that they know it's cool. So thanks,
Awesome.
Will. That is much appreciated. If you like to join in with Will's chorus, we love that. I would also be interested to hear other people who want to write in and explain why we shouldn't share our politics or views, because I'm very curious to hear the other side as well.
Sure.
Which makes me a centrist.
Fairness doctrine.
Right. You can go to stuffyoushouldknow.com and find all of our social links there, and you can also send us a good old-fashioned email. Wrap it up, spank it on the bottom, and send it off to stuffpodcast@iheartradio.com.
Stuff You Should Know is a production of iHeartRadio. For more podcasts from iHeartRadio, visit the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to your favorite shows.
Do you dream of getting your business's teams all on the same page? Your customers sure do. That's why HubSpot's CRM platform makes it easy to get every team working in sync, from sales to operations to marketing and beyond. HubSpot makes it easy to track customer contact history or access aggregated data, because when your teams are on the same page, your customers have a better experience. Your customers will thank you. Your competition probably won't. Connect your people, your customers, and your business at HubSpot.com.
After 30 years, it's time to return to the halls of West Beverly High and hang out at the Peach Pit on the podcast 9021 OMG. Visit Jenny Garth and Tori Spelling for a rewatch of the hit series Beverly Hills 90210 from the very beginning.
We get to tell the fans all of the behind-the-scenes stories that actually happened. So they know what happened on camera, obviously, but we can tell them all to happen off camera.
Listen to 9021 OMG on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
I'm Jake Halper, host of Deep Cover. Our new season is about a lawyer who helped the mob run Chicago. He bribed judges and even helped a hitman walk free, until one day when he started talking with the FBI and promised that he could take the mob down. I've spent the past year trying to figure out why he flipped and what he was really after. Listen to Deep Cover on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Of somebody who needs to be redeemed, who needs redemption to feel better, who needs forgiveness, but rather the person doing the forgiving, the person who is originally transgressed against. Not the offender, but the offendee. That's where most of the research has been done on forgiveness.
Right. Don Henley is a rock star, so he's writing a song about wanting to be forgiven for a foursome he had in St. Paul backstage.
Sure.
Even if you don't love me anymore, can you forgive me that, can you blame a guy? Is what he's saying.
Right. So, yeah, I think that's probably exactly what that song's about now that you mention it.
It's the subtext.
So, I think we should start by pointing out something about forgiveness, is that a lot of people, there's a lot of stories about people not forgiving. We call it revenge, and people love revenge, Like, think about the revenge movie genre and how many entries there are.
Pretty great.
Like, have you ever seen I Saw the Devil?
Yeah.
Have you ever seen Old Boy?
Yeah.
Have you ever seen Death Becomes Her?
Yeah.
Well, have you ever seen She-Devil?
Nope.
Oh, you haven't, with Roseanne Barr and Ed Begley and Meryl
Never saw
Streep?
that. Was that a revenge movie?
Yes. All of them. Great revenge movies.
Can I shout out one of my favorites?
Yeah, please do.
Like, legitimately, it's kind of a smaller indie movie called Blue Ruin.
Oh, yeah, I saw that one.
Great revenge movie if you're into revenge movies. And I am. I enjoy it. There's a catharsis involved. Because
Exactly.
I'm a big forgiver. So I think I like seeing movies where revenge happens.
Yeah, and we'll talk a lot about, revenge, because they're
Hola mi gente, what's good, what's poppin'? It's your girl Amara La Negra. You may know me from the reality show Love and Hip Hop Miami. Los quiero invitar to listen to my weekly podcast, Exactly Amara, where I'll be talking about todo lo bueno and none of the BS. Let me excite your mind with topics like dating, sex, relationships. Así que listen to Exactly Amara every Thursday on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Brought to you by Metro by T-Mobile. Rule your day with 5G.
Welcome back, Bayside! They're taking school spirit
Come on, just getting started!
to the max. This is gonna be awesome! Saved by the Bell. New season streaming now.
Let's do this, baby.
Only on Peacock.
The NFL is back, and the NFL app has you covered. So get ready for football all season long and just tap into the NFL app.
NFL, baby, let's make it happen!
Just tap in to watch your local and primetime games all season, now through Super Bowl 56.
For the end zone touchdown!
Get up-to-the-minute news, videos, highlights, stats, and more on all your favorite teams and rookies to watch.
Welcome to the NFL!
Download to your mobile device today at nfl.com/mobile or in your app store. Certain restrictions and data rates may apply.
So let's paint a picture for you, fellow conspiracy realists. It's September 2015. Your pals, Matt and Ben, are finally addressing a question that I think personally bothered both of them at this time. Osama bin Laden, by this point, was dead, but when did he die?
Well, he died 10 years after the 9/11 attacks, 2001. And where was his body? What happened to his body?
Oh, it was buried at sea.
Huh. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Yeah. I feel like we need more information here.
I feel like it's not a hot take to say that many people, even in 2020, on today don't agree with the official narrative. So in this classic episode, we are looking at the official story, and then we're looking at some of the allegations that there may be more to the tale.
From UFOs to ghosts and government cover-ups, history is riddled with unexplained events. You can turn back now or learn the stuff they don't want you to know.
Hello, welcome back to the show. My name is Matt.
And I'm Ben, and as always, we are joined by our super producer, Noel the Politico Brown. Noel, I hope, is doing well.
I think he's doing just fine.
He's got a nod. So that's a positive nod or a bit of a shrug. As you know, our nicknames for our super producer are often hints or allusions to the nature of the episode. I guess for anyone who doesn't read the title, who says, I just want to plunge in.
I'm just playing this episode.
Jumping into the great beyond of the podcasting world. This is an episode that is heavily political. We're not really taking any sides other than to say that I think we can all agree it is not good to kill people. That's a fairly basic assumption.
I'm going to agree with you.
That regardless of someone's self-described political leaning or identification, they can agree with. So, Matt, with that disclaimer, what are we talking about today?
We are talking about kind of the guy that was held up as the boogeyman when I was going through high school and college, up until around 2011.
Right, yeah, and I appreciate your use of the phrase boogeyman. We are talking about Osama bin Laden and Osama-related conspiracies, or should I say Laden-related conspiracies. So this figure is shrouded in mystery and opprobrium and controversy even today, as our audience knows, both inside and outside of the States. This is the anniversary, or the week anniversary of the September 11th attacks. And just for a refresher, what are those?
That is when the World Trade Center in New York City, as well as the Pentagon in Washington, D.C., were attacked, and another plane went down in Pennsylvania.
Mm-hmm. Right, spot on. So, originally and often we have heard that Osama bin Laden was involved with these attacks to one degree or another, or associated with them.
Very quickly after it occurred, there were people on the news mentioning this man's name.
Mm-hmm.
Very quickly. And it was thought to be terrorism if you go back and watch the tapes. And, there are specials on every year now that go back through all of the footage that occurred. And there are people speculating about terrorism almost immediately after it occurred. Not even on the news, just people on the street.
Right. And there are also, of course, as you've noticed, with any large catastrophic event in U.S. history, from the attack on Pearl Harbor to the assassination of JFK or MLK to this event, there are numerous people and groups who disagree with the official version of events from the day the planes hit to 2011, when bin Laden passes away.
And there are also a lot of people who are probably angry that we're even talking about this right now, because we're going to be discussing some of the more fringe ideas. But the thing that Ben and I want you to know is that we are looking at facts that can be proven, and then also telling you what people believe. And then, like this show does every week, we just want you to think about it and come up with your own belief structure around this.
And I'm sorry, I'm going to go ahead and do this because, of course, we are doing this live. Well, live for us, a recorder when you hear it. But I want to do this one more time, picking up at the end where I said, leading up to Osama bin Laden, leading up to 2011, when Osama bin Laden died. Or did he?
This one's going to a high
So
school.
that's a hint of some of the stuff coming up. So first we have to start at the beginning. Who is Osama bin Laden? Because for such a well-known name, a lot of people don't know very much about him other than, as you said, Matt, he was a boogeyman.
You weren't ready for that, were you?
Yes. So the man we know as Osama bin Laden, who is known in the West, at least, in that way, is actually Osama bin Mohammed bin Awad bin Laden. He was born on March 10th, 1957 in Riyadh,
0.8 miles away.
Saudi Arabia.
Yep.
Head north toward Pinecroft Road.
His mother was Syrian. His father, Mohammed Awad bin Laden, was from South Yemen.
They weren't that busy though. It's just
Osama bin Laden
they had
was
just
the
started
seventh son
the big one when I got
50
there.
brothers and sisters, all
Really?
told, big family. The father is a success story. Started impoverished, worked his way up to become the owner of the largest construction company in Saudi Arabia. And during this time, his father became very close to the royal family due to his involvement in palace construction and other, royal.
Head north toward Pinecroft Road.
Interrelated buildings.
Yeah, I can see how that would make them buddy-buddy in that regard.
Yeah,
and
I enjoyed
Osama
those.
bin
Same
Laden
reason why I
grew up
joined
in
the
a strictly
hotel ones.
religious environment.
It's nice
He
to
went to
walk.
school in Jeddah, and according to some official sources, he only traveled to a couple countries around the Arabian Peninsula: Syria, Pakistan, Afghanistan, and Sudan.
In 600 feet, turn left onto Pinecroft Road.
And that's according to these sources for his entire life. That's where he existed.
So the reason that we mention that is that you'll often hear stories that he secretly went to Switzerland.
Take the next left onto Pinecroft Road.
One reason or another, or that he secretly traveled to another country, maybe in the West, maybe he went to, you'll hear wild stuff.
In 1,000 feet, turn right onto Van Story Street.
Or at least maybe a more fair way to say it is unsubstantiated stuff. He adopted the beliefs and precepts of Muslim Brotherhood during his time in school, and you probably heard of the Muslim Brotherhood in different news reports.
Take the next right onto Van Story Street.
About events in the Middle East. Yet at this time he was not involved in violent or terrorist-like activities. So, to see what changed, we will consult an excellent timeline provided to us by the good folks at Frontline, as well as some others, which means, of course, this is a timeline of official events, or at least proven events. Cast your memory back, December 26, 1979, the Soviet invasion of Afghanistan, a boiling point in the proxy war there between Russia and the West. Bin Laden leaves his home in Saudi Arabia to join the Afghan resistance, the Mujahideen.
Yeah, and he's about, I think, 22 at this time. So,
in a quarter mile to the left.
That wasn't
no,
somebody in the garage probably locking the doors.
College age years for us in the West, at least. He's going out and joining a resistance movement. Now we get to
Just shave it all off.
This is when Bin Laden officially established Al-Qaeda. This is, you've heard of them many times.
Take the next left, then your destination will be on the left.
Here? They're an organization of ex-Mujahideen and other supporters, so the people who were fighting in Afghanistan.
Right, and during that interim 79 to 88, he did become a successful fighter, working his way up from a resistance fighter to a guerrilla commander. So when he establishes Al-Qaeda, he was also successful at raising funding, which will...
Your destination is on the left.
We'll talk about as well. Let's go through just a few of the events that he was tied to. Okay, so real quick, in '89, the Soviets pull out of Afghanistan. Bin Laden comes back to Saudi Arabia. People love him.
That one-way road.
But he gets involved in movements against the monarchy, which doesn't go over well in a theocracy like Saudi Arabia. In 1991, he's kicked out.
You want to read your
moves
instructions?
back to Afghanistan, then to Sudan.
Smith High School, ring doorbell.
Because at the time, Sudan had allowed any Muslim into the country without a visa. And then if we fast forward a little bit later, a bomb explodes in a hotel in Aden, Yemen.
Looks like they
right?
tried to ring the doorbell.
Yeah, this is a place where United States troops had been staying.
Yeah.
They were en route to a humanitarian mission in Somalia. The bomb killed 2 Austrian tourists, and U.S. soldiers apparently had already left once this attack occurred. And there were 2 Yemeni Muslim militants who were apparently trained in Afghanistan, who were injured in the blast as well. They're later arrested, and U.S. intelligence agencies allege that this was the first terror attack involving bin Laden and his associates.
Right, and as we go through this, we're going to hear more statements like attacks involving bin Laden, or he is associated or linked to it. So in 1993, February 26th, the World Trade Center bombing occurs. Later October of the same year, 18 U.S. troops are killed in Mogadishu, and people begin suspecting that bin Laden and his followers trained and armed the men who killed the troops. They also believe, intelligence analysts over the years become more and more certain that bin Laden isn't just leading terrorist groups, he's financing different training camps.
Yeah, training camps in, I think, Sudan, northern Sudan. Now, in April 1994, Saudi Arabia takes note of all this stuff and says, you're getting out of here. They revoke bin Laden's citizenship, and they make moves to even freeze all of his assets, at least the ones in Saudi Arabia, because of his support for some of these Muslim fundamentalist groups.
Yep, and so he is establishing through 94, 95, he's establishing more training camps around the Saudi Arabian border. In August of 1995, he writes a letter.
He writes a letter to the King of Saudi Arabia, and he calls for a campaign of guerrilla attacks in order to drive U.S. forces out of the kingdom.
And for the next few years, we're going to skip over some of the developments. Just a quick laundry list for Saudi Arabia.
I say stolen, like they weren't just sitting out there for people to take.
Head south towards South Holden Road.
In the capital are beheaded before their execution. They claim to have read letters from bin Laden. In 1996, President Clinton signs a top-secret order that authorizes the CIA to use any and all means to destroy the bin Laden network. As this is seen increasingly as a threat to U.S. forces or U.S. personnel or citizens abroad.
Yeah, they even set up a grand jury, a secret grand jury investigation.
Yeah, just let anybody in.
Then, later in August of that year, 1996, bin Laden signed an issued declaration of jihad, where he basically set out the organizational goals of these groups that he had set up.
Turn left onto South Holden Road, then turn right onto Farmington Drive.
They were to drive U.S. forces from the Saudi Arabian Peninsula, overthrow the government of Saudi Arabia, liberate Muslim holy sites, and support Islam.
Turn right onto Farmington Drive.
Revolutionary groups around the world. He also, in this, declares that Saudis have the right to strike at U.S. troops
in a quarter mile, turn right onto Fraser Road.
Inside the Persian Gulf.
Alright, and 1997, U.S.-backed multinational
the light down, pull a U-turn and make the right.
It'll be faster. And killing bin Laden. Obviously, it does not work. So bin Laden does something in 1998, issuing a joint
Take the next right onto Fraser Road.
declaration with several other groups where they try to form a World Islamic Front. Then let's go to 1998. There's a grand jury investigation of bin Laden, charging him with the conspiracy to attack defense utilities of the U.S. And this is where prosecutors charge the
In a quarter mile, turn right onto Glen Hollow Road. In 1,000 feet, turn left onto Farmington Drive.
Bin Laden heads a terrorist organization called Al-Qaeda. And we can go
Take the next left onto Farmington Drive.
through some of these dates quick. He does interviews with ABC Nightline. He later does interviews with Time, and a second interview with ABC.
In 1,000 feet, turn right.
And during this time, he is eventually becoming maybe